Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Lali-Ho League. This is week 2, right here on Randomania, and we've got an exciting matchup featuring two runners who are lucky enough to go 1-0 in their first round, actual JP versus Saradin, and the winner of whom is going to have a very nice start at the beginning of this Swiss portion of this. My name is Rex Raoul, and I am joined at the booth by Lady Ed 19. Lady Ed, what are you looking forward to seeing tonight?
Well, excuse me. Good evening, Rex Wall. Well, what am I looking forward to seeing? I just can't help but notice that objective number 5, defeat the Fabul Gauntlet. I wonder how that may or may not rear its ugly head. And also, Moonblaze Wolf Tracking or a Restreamer pointing out for us, we have a Rydia start. So two kind of, dare I say, ugly starts between the character and the objective. What do you think?
I think both of them have the potential to be ugly, but also the potential to be very powerful. Like Rydia is a character that kind of lives and dies by whether or not you're able to find one of those really good summons. If you're able to find in I don't know, if a trap chest or at a key item location like a Bahamut or a Leviathan relatively early, then she could be a powerhouse throughout the entire run. If not, it might be a little bit difficult, and we might have to lean on whoever the other character is. As far as the Fabul Gauntlet goes, depending on where you find it, it's either like a little annoying because it takes a while, or brutally difficult.
So avoid Lunar Subterrane Fabul Gauntlet. Got it.
If you can. Now, depending on where those key items are, you might have to face it anyways. Some of those places in there do have really difficult fights, though. Oh, man. If you want to fight evil masks and red dragons, then hopefully it's at the Ogopogo vanilla spot.
As a person who is watching the seed, tracking the seed, I would love to see that if I'm a runner. That is the absolute last place I want to see that.
Well, the Fabul Gauntlet is something that, even in kind of the middling portions of the game, can kind of be a skill tester, because these are enemies that you're not usually practicing for. All the bosses, like most of the runners, know their scripts, their weaknesses, and everything with them. But with the Gauntlet, it can really throw you off your game. And how about this? We get a Magma Key start with the other Black Wizard, Palom.
Right, and a Lunar Sparkle at the Baron starting spot.
So this opens up quite a bit of options for the runners right at the beginning of the race. Are they going to go underground and get some of that looting done right away, check those shops, or are they going to feel more comfortable going to maybe what their normal routing is, like if they've got a plan and they kind of stick to it? There's a lot of choices that the runners can make right now.
Yeah, if it were me, I know I had my normal routing, but if I get a Magma Key, I'm immediately diving that just to see what's underground. But I can see both of our runners have decided to, likely go to their normal routing and fade that magma for now.
I like that Saradin is going to check the free summon that's available on Mount Hobbs. We're going to see exactly how powerful that Rydia can be just for free right off the stop. Because if this ends up being something like Sylph or even Titan, that could be a huge thing for Rydia in the early part of this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Even Ashura, because right now we have no way of healing. Unfortunately, it's just a bomb summon, which looks like Saradin's going to take.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, but this does, just by going through this cutscene, it does open up West Mount Hobbs if you want to get that looting done early as well. And those are generally pretty good chests. I've had some pretty good luck with them. Also looks like he's going to check the character. Meanwhile, after looting Baron, it looks like actual JP is going to make that trip downtown. Ooh, but it is Edward, but that's a blue robe. That might be a required fight. Let's see here.
Yes, that is indeed the All Gauntlet, and Saradin immediately resets out of that. Don't blame them. It's a doable spot, but there's no need to go after it now. Come back later, when your party's a little bit more powered up. Maybe you get a good summon for Rydia, and you can kind of blaze through that a little quicker.
Yeah, even if you just get the couple of levels on Palom, have them learn Fire too, you could probably just shoot through that gauntlet relatively easily. Edward, I mean, he's got some uses, but at this party, you really want someone who's going to be able to tank a little bit more damage because we've got a couple of relatively weak characters off the start here.
Yeah, I like the divergence here. You know, you have Saradin going down to Antlion. You have actual JP actually going through Sylph and looting those first two chests on the right, which I've seen some runners do just because of the ease of check. You know, you see actual JP runs into that trap chest, immediately resets out, but can just go right back in and grab that defense sword, which could come very much in handy.
Yeah, it's a nice thing of making sure you know when you saved last, and you can loot without too much fear because you can just reset if it ends up being something dangerous. But that defense sword, that's a nice prize, especially if we find a Cecil or a Kane. A Lunar Sparkle awakes Saradin down at the bottom of Antlion Cave, and it is the D Lunars. I think, yeah, there's a firebomb that might be a little bit low on these D-Lunars here. We'll see if that does enough. Yeah, with it dealing damage based on the HP of the user, these low-level characters are going to have a tough time with that. The Fire 1 and the Chocobo coming out from Saradin, we'll see if this is going to be enough.
Yeah, you can also start throwing out those Cure 2s as well that you have. You know, maybe you're hesitant, you don't want to waste them all, but I would just want to just get through this as quickly as possible, kind of using whatever means I could just to get to that first key item, and then also to get some levels on that Rydia, you know, if you plan to buffer up, hopefully to get a good summon.
Meanwhile, we're also seeing actual JP now heading over into the Fey March, doing a bit of looting here. It's going to stop short of this full looting the third floor. Ooh, taking another one, find some arty arrows. The fewer chests that remain, the higher percentage you're going to get that warrior's trapped chest and then have to redo the whole thing. So going back in, finishing up here, just samurai arrows in the vanilla rat tail chest, so no free key item there today.
We do have sirens available for us in the Fey March, so you can see actual JP now just starting to see what he can clear out to in order to get, you know, what I would imagine would be his 10 sirens.
And that's one of those things that getting that early check into the underworld kind of allows you to know what's available in those gated shops early. And knowing that you've got access to these sirens already is a real relief in a lot of ways.
And Saradin, hopefully rewarded, you know, picking up that Sand Ruby from those D-Lunars. Imagine they're going to go right to Kaipo to check that.
Imagine so. With this party, you're looking for someone who can bring a little bit of beef to the table. Maybe a Sid, maybe a Cecil. Well, Dark Knight Cecil's not that beefy, but somebody like that. Even a Rosa has just better HP growth than either of the characters that we're starting with today.
Yeah, I didn't spot the. I saw actual JP check the bosses in the Fey March. I missed who the two were. I'm not sure if anybody else in chat had picked them up. Oh, Painman and Golbez, according to chat. Yeah, no thank you. That's one that I think will be faded for some time, as Saradin does pick up a DKC in Kaipo. Certainly, you know, I would be very happy, even if it's just DKC right now. Certainly very happy to pick him up.
The potential that Cecil has when transformed into a paladin is the sky's the limit. One of the best characters in the game. It does require a little bit of investment, but luckily there are 3 boss checks up on Mount Ordeals, and if one of them happens to be that Antlion, then that could be really fortunate as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, if you don't find a Cecil, you find runners tend to fade, you know, Ordeals unless they have a Tella. which sometimes can come back to bite you, and sometimes it doesn't. More often than not, at least for me, I find it will tend to bite you if you don't, check it. But it's also just a great save of time. But it's a bit of a gamble.
We see actual JP going to the most important town of the game, Comra, manages to talk to the job dwarf, who is a book editor, also finds a tiara, very nice piece of equipment for Rydia there.
Oh, absolutely. And now I'm going to be popping some sirens here to, try to take down those eggs. And does have a coffin, which will go a long way.
Yeah, this is going to be a very nice little jump start to actual JP's experience here. Going to be able, if he decides to go to that Mount Ordeals play that we saw Saradin go to earlier, is not going to have any fear of the alt gauntlet at this point after these levels from this one egg.
Meanwhile, we have Baron Guards over in Fabul, which I don't think will be too scary. But, then again, that Cecil's been cut down to size, so he's not going to be providing too much in the way of DPS or a meat shield.
Yeah, as long as Hallam doesn't get hit with the pig, then I think Saradin's going to be fine. If Hallam does get transformed into a pig and can't use that Ice 2 spell, that's going to be a lot more difficult for Saradin to deal with. One option, these guards are susceptible to the piggy spell themselves, so if Saradin wants to be even more sure, but take a little bit longer to do it, he could use the piggy spell to turn the guards into piggies, therefore disabling their counter magic.
Yeah, and you also wonder what J items they may have in their, inventory. I would think about maybe popping one of them off if they have them, just to get through this, rather than get bogged down and possibly use up all your MP trying to take down these guards.
Oh, you see, actual JP found a Sylph Summon in one of the chests that he looted. That's going to be very nice for Rydia going forward.
Yeah, especially combined with those levels that they put up on that Rydia. Yeah, that puts them, I want to say well ahead, but puts them, kind of in the driver's seat right now.
Ooh, looks like these lower levels might be doing a number on Saradin here. Running out of MP is Hallam, so gonna have to find a way to get through this. The Hourglass is gonna make things safe for the rest of the fight, but you're still going to have to figure out a way to deal the damage, and that's going to be the puzzle that Saradin has put himself in by taking this fight at such a low level and not doing a lot of looting beforehand.
Yeah, does pop that Hourglass 2 to stop that guard, so, they should be able to get through it. It's going to be a little slow. Another alternative, I saw they had 5 Kamikazes.
Yeah.
It may not be a bad idea just to pop one or two of them and then just, revive your characters and then just do damage that way.
Yeah, you'd probably have to invest a lot of your tier 2s into that too. Like, I imagine, curing Cecil up to his max HP, kamikazeing for the full 200, reviving, healing, rinse and repeat. But it looks like these bow and arrows are not the worst.
No, they're going to get through this here momentarily.
Meanwhile, actual JP took a little bit of a pause, seeing that Edward and a Blue Rover up here. Probably just remembering, I've got to check to see if this is the Fabul Gauntlet. Turns out it is in this fight right now, but plenty of levels right now. As you see, that Fire 2 just wipes all the mobs off with one go.
Yeah, yeah, I was going to say, hopefully they know just to parry with that Rydia. Unfortunately, their agility is a little out of whack, so it's going to be, pretty much just pairing it with anyone else that's not Palm, and then just getting Palm to get one of their level 2 spells off. Meanwhile, Saradin, does pick up a Bahamut spell, or a Bahamut summon, so that's just an amazing pickup this early in the seed.
Yeah, that's going to carry the team through the majority of the seed. You just don't have a whole lot to fear as long as Saradin can level up Rydia to the point where she has enough MP to cast it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's just going to be the only issue, is just making sure or finding a way just to get her the levels right in order to cast that Bahamut. But once you're there, then it's kind of smooth sailing for a while, especially at least in the overworld.
Looks like Saradin heading to Mysidia for a little bit of shopping, most likely. Meanwhile, actual JP getting through this while that's happening. Want to give a shout out to the Restream team tonight. We do have Moonblaze Wolf doing the Restream himself, and we've got Zoom Waffle on the tracking. So big shout outs to both Moonblaze Wolf and Zoom Waffle. Without them, there is no show. Also want to give a shout out to the Randomania Network, continuing to be great partners with Free Enterprise through this event. Very happy to be on their network of channels tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Saradin going to Agard. I do see pick up some Thor Rages. Going to be turning in that Magma Key and getting underground themselves now.
Hopefully, with the looting pattern that Saradin has in the underground, it'll echo somewhat what actual JP did, and we can see that Sylph be found as well. Even though the Bahamut's going to be the big thing, Sylph is a really nice one to have access to as well.
Oh, absolutely. As long as you don't have her in the middle slot, if you have her anywhere else, and as long as you have the MP to cast it, that's free. And meantime, actual JP does get through that Fabul Gauntlet. They're the first runners tonight that will light up an objective on the board.
It's one of those where it seems like it's a nice advantage for actual JP to have that done, but really Saradin knows exactly where that is and knows that it's not going to be super difficult. It's just having the resources to endure those 5 fights in a row. And once he has the levels, he can do that whenever he feels like it. You might wait until way near the end of the game, because then you can pick up that fresh level 5 Edward for an agility anchor right at the end as well. So that's another option that Saradin could take. It's really going to be up to the runner's choice.
Saradin does pick up a defense sword, climbing Mount Ordeal, so just be great just to slap that right on Cecil as soon as the changeover to Paladin happens.
Without a doubt, that's going to be a great boost to the offense of the team without having to rely on magic. We see Kane Azo in the first boss spot up here on Mount Ordeals. Saradin going to be happy to pick up those Thor Rages. That's going to be a real nice way to break up the wave attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the speed of the party is a little fast. But looks like we'll have that lit 2 queued up and may be able to get it off in time to stop that wave.
Actual JP able to defeat those D-Lunars at the bottom of the Landline Cave is rewarded with that Sandruby, and now we'll have Cecil available to him as well.
Yeah, and now the good thing about that Kainazo is that even if you can't get the wave off, the wave that's going to come off, if he does actually get it off, is going to do negligible damage. So, I think they're going to be fine getting through this.
Agree. The wave is, of course, based on Kainazo's current HP. So this is not a super high HP spot to start with. And the more damage you do to Kainazo, the less damage that wave will do as well. So the fact that they're getting all this damage in, and it's already hiding in the shell, this is basically endgame for Saradin and Kainazo. Actual JP now getting that Cecil decides to cash in the Sand Ruby. I imagine Actual JP is going to head to Mount Ordeals relatively quickly now that he's got Cecil in the party.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have the levels. as long as you have the levels, you have some way of clearing through ordeals. That's my first priority as a runner, is just getting Paladin Cecil online, and most importantly, just starting to get the XP on them. Because the XP you get on Dark Knight Cecil just does not carry over to Paladin Cecil.
Exactly. Does look like he's going to go to Fabul first. He did go to Sylph Cave, so he'll be able to get an extra key item check with Yang's wife Sheila up in the tower. So going to be a bit of a 2-for-1 here. Is also going to get rewarded if he does the Fabul defense at this point as well. Will be rewarded with the Bahamut summon, which is just going to make that Rydia that already knows Sylph even more powerful and versatile. When that is a stacked item shop, I missed that when Saradin was there. Cabins, silk webs, kamikazes. That must have been where Saradin picked up those kamikazes.
Yeah, I agreed. I missed that too the first time, but yeah, silk web, kamikaze. That's just perfect. That gets you Z ready. That also lets you, if you can't pick up a good anchor in the meantime, maybe will help you get through some of those. If you run into a rough underground fight, might help you turn the tide.
A question from our tracker Zoom Waffle in the chat: isn't Knazo weak to ice when in shell? Yeah, Knazo has a varying changes its weakness. Whenever the water is up, Knazo is weak to lightning. Whenever it doesn't have water, so that's either when it's punching you or when it's in the shell, it is weak to ice.
Meanwhile, Saradin getting through the second part of the Dr. Luge fight.
But I will say in the Knazo, sometimes people like to just use poison attacks, or I see the poison over there, like to use lightning attacks on it over and over, even if it doesn't hit right then, just so that you've got as many options to get that water down as quickly as possible.
Oh, I mean, yeah, if you face him in a fast spot, sometimes that's just your avenue just to get that wave done. Yeah, there's no shame in that, queuing up as many Thor Rages and Lit Ones just to get yourself some breathing room and avoid one of those just wiping waves that just take out your whole party.
You see, the other benefit of cashing in that Siren early is done as Callum already unleashing the power of Quake to defeat those Baron guards. That's a huge speed advantage that actual JP had in that fight over Saradin.
Yeah, and Saradin having a little bit of tough time getting through this Luge fight. Actually gets through it now. That emission did did quite a bit of damage, but luckily that last Lit 2 was enough to take him down, and he's going to go falling into the deep ravine.
Yeah, that emission fire attack can be very scary at low HP levels. The Sheila check from actual JP yields the package. So there's another character check if actual JP feels a bit desperate for another character. I imagine with the knowledge that he's got a Paladin Cecil almost online, just needs to complete ordeals for that, and has both of his mages at really, really strong levels, probably not going to spend a lot of time unless there's a specific character that he's looking for.
I would be tempted to check it. Meanwhile, Saradin picks up a Masamune as the key item in ordeals. But that package check, I would be tempted to peep it just to see if there's a foo. I mean, if there's a foo, I'm willing to sit through the long cutscenes just to get him, just because that's just going to make, this seed just blow wide open.
Rosa might be another character that a runner might be interested in taking despite the long wait. Just that high-tier white mage is somebody that a lot of runners really like to have in their party if possible.
Yeah, and especially getting her early and starting to get those levels on her, without having to grind as much, in the way of Sirens at the end of the game, or at the end of the seed. Yeah, absolutely.
So Saradin has defeated the elements in the third fight, and now is going to be able to walk away from Mount Ordeals with Paladin Cecil in tow. So well done there. That's also going to give a big chunk of levels to Palom and Rydia. Hopefully, it'll be enough that Saradin's Rydia will be able to cast Bahamut now.
Yeah, and you wonder where they're going to go next. If it's going to be Dwarf Castle, Keyless Tower. If it were me, I'd probably want to check out Dwarf Castle.
That's a possibility. There's also Baron Inn is sitting there, and I don't think Saradin has gone there yet. We saw actual JP take a peek in there, and I believe it was Kane was the character, so that could be another boost to the party as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is one thing that I am can be personally run into forgetting all about Baron Inn. If you get that magma key and you do that ordeals, it can be very easy to forget Baron Inn, as I just did just now. Fading Baron Inn has never decided a race ever.
Oh, sure. I know that whatever I fade ends up being the most important thing, so.
And it ends up being the last thing that you check that you have forgotten about, at least in my case.
Looks like Saradin is making that Baron in play. Gonna find out. There is the K, there is the Valvolus right in the first spot here. We'll see if that's something that Saradin wants to deal with. And yeah, we're going for it.
Yeah, that Val in that first spot can be surprisingly rude. The spot has less than 1,000 HP, but it can be very tough to break through that. Break through her evasion. But we see that Bahamut being queued up. I have to imagine that's going to be enough to break through it.
We'll see. That magic defense is really strong, and Saradin taking the reset. It's kind of rude when Kane is just teasing you, sitting right there, and it's like, if you could just have Kane jump, there's no problem right there. But he's not going to jump here until after you feed that fight.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Sometimes you can find yourself, kind of beating your head against a wall against a tough boss and spending a lot of time. And sometimes knowing, okay, I'm just not going to be able to take this right now, and it's fine. I'll come back later when I have some levels.
Saradin now heading down to the Fey March. Going to be a bit disappointed to just find samurai arrows in the key item chest here, but we'll be happy to see those sirens in the shop.
We see that of Bahamut unleashed on the element spot and ordeals. Almost 6,000 damage. That just showcases just the immense power of Bahamut, especially early on in this in the seed.
Without a doubt, that's just going to be, I think, that's going to be the main way to deal with battles. There's going to be a few where it's not going to be as convenient to do that, and then you've got Cecil, you've got Palom to do other things. You might have actual JP has that silk. Things like the in certain spots the CPU, you might not want to do the full damage to everybody. You might just say, whatever, I'll just take the Globe 199 to get through it fast. Bahamut away.
Yeah, if you have enough characters, if you have full party, yeah, sometimes it may be better, just like you said, just to throw that Bahamut out there. Take a couple Globe 199s, have them revive, and then just rinse and repeat.
Saradin sees those Dark Knight Cecil, Leviathan, and Golbez at Ashura and says, I think I'd rather not fight those right now. I can't blame anyone for that. I wouldn't want to fight either of those unless I absolutely had to.
And the one thing that I didn't think about, neither runner has really, face-checked Miss Cave or Waterfall Cave for, either Antlion or Mist Dragon. Does see actual JP going for that package. Unfortunately, just a Tela there.
It would be a full power Tella at this point, but it's hard to make arguments for um, devoting that much time to Tella right now.
Yeah, that's quite a long cutscene to sit through. Not only at Mist, but then in Kaipo as well. Although there's always that cheeky chance that Mist Dragon could be hiding, coming in the night and waiting with the key item for you.
Or Antlion and just be an objective right in itself. It's one of those things where it's like, do you want to invest that type on the chance? Like that's the gamble that you've got to weigh your odds. Is this what I want to spend my time on?
Yeah, to me that seems like too much of a gamble unless you feel like you're behind and you need to make, a come from behind play. But right now I agree with fading it. If it comes back to bite you, so be it. But it's just not worth the time investment at the moment.
Now, actual JP is going to try to take care of this Valveless. Let's see if he has better luck than Saradin did.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Sylph is not enough to cut through that, magic defense for this Val. We'll try to throw out a virus. I do wonder if that Bahamut would be enough to cut through. I mean, that's quite high spell power.
Yeah, that magic evade is really scary at that spot, though. And we see the reset there from actual JP. Gonna go to the underworld. It looks like our runners might be doubling up here in Dwarf Castle as they're catching up to where each other were. And now we've got the Kaipo fight, the Kaipo soldiering guards here.
Yeah, nice to see a free fight in the first spot. Get a nice little influx of XP, although those cards actually hitting quite a bit more than you probably would expect them to. Although they're low HP means that they're not going to be long for this world.
We see illusions for sale in the Dwarf Castle item shop. A pretty useful item for fights that have pretty good physical attack. It uses it in battle and it casts the blink spell, which means the next two physical attacks aimed at the character will be guaranteed to miss. So it's a really nice item to have in certain spots. But it looks like actual JP does not want to take on the actual battle in Dwarf Castle right now, and is instead going to do a little bit more of a grind.
Not a bad idea. You don't know. They don't know what's waiting for them in Dwarf Castle, and with a base level Cecil. There's an objective waiting for you in the second spot of Dwarf Castle. There's Antlion.
And more possibilities for Edward.
What does that make now? Is that 2 Edwards now?
2 Edwards so far.
I'm personally good with no Edwards, but that's just personal opinion.
It usually depends on whether or not I have a spoon, how much I like Edward.
Yeah, and even then, it can be tough just to keep him upright in order to actually have him, use that spoon. But Saradin, once again, showing off the power that Bahamut, chooses wisely not to attack with Cecil and trigger Antlion's counters. Antlion does not counter summons, and Antlion certainly does not counter a summon when it does 6,000 damage to you and just wipes you off the battlefield.
20,000 experience is pretty good for a boss at this stage of the game. It's not quite the 34,000 that actual JP is getting for these eggs, but one could argue it's a bit better to get the objective done as well. So very well done there by Saradin, getting through these Dwarf Castle fights relatively early. So that's pretty well done. And now gets a rat tail as well. Not going to be able to check that until we find a hook, though.
Yeah, so I guess the only other play then, I know they don't have a package, but I guess it's Keyless Tower next. Really, is the next play, unless you somehow think you can get through that Golbez in that Ashura spot, which I doubt either runner is going to try to take at this stage.
It looks like you were right there, as Saradin is now heading over to the tower. Meanwhile, actual JP, now that little mini grind is done, heading back into Dwarf Castle, is going to take on the fights as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault them for doing the grind. Unfortunately for them, both fights are relatively free, so the grind wasn't needed. But, you can find some pretty rude bosses here.
Without a doubt.
So I can't blame them for that.
Looks like Saradin wants to do a little bit of looting here. Maybe gonna try to see if he could get a lucky crystal sword or something out of one of these trap chests, because you can get that tier 7 equipment from these trap chests, and that can really pay off if you hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for an X-Cal, you're looking for a crystal sword, you're looking for an Avenger. You pull any one of them out, and unfortunately, just get another edge sword. But no, this is a good play to make, to really get that Cecil powered up.
Things where it could absolutely pay off. As long as you can one-shot those alerts, they're pretty... if you can one-shot the alert, it's a free fight. If you aren't able to, then you're suddenly dealing with whatever comes out of it, and some of them can be nasty monsters.
Yeah, and as Chad has pointed out, there is still Baron Inn, which again, I found myself fading myself. But I gotta imagine that one of these runners would be able to punch through that Val, especially after getting through both of these spots.
It's a bit rough there. Depending on the agility situation, you might be able to get Cecil in with a hit fast enough, and that Excalibur is certainly going to help.
Oh, that's just a fantastic pickup. If I'm them, I'm done looting. I have my X-Cal. Just take me on to the rest of the tower, and I might even be done looting, to be honest, once you have that.
Well, it kind of depends on who you're looking at for the other party members. I guess if you're counting on that Kane that's in Baron Inn to fill out your party, then you're probably good, because you still have that defense sword, and that's one of Kane's absolutely best weapons. So he's probably well stocked up. You're not doing all that great on armor right now, but armor is kind of secondary to weaponry. I think for your melee characters, other than Yang, of course, who doesn't really care about weapons either.
Yeah, and we still need some kind of healing. I don't know that other runners picked up an Ashura summon.
I haven't seen one.
Yeah, so with no white mage, makes things a little awkward. If I'm a runner, I'm kind of sweating a little bit and hoping I find one. Even if that means getting the darkness crystal, which is looking more and more like that we're going to see.
It's like actual JP wants to take another shot at that Valvelus. Meanwhile, Saradin found Bahamut up at the top of the tower. This spot has a pretty high HP pool for this level of boss. So getting those Star Veils up is going to be essential in order to get through this fight.
Yeah, and the other thing you have to be careful is you don't want to spend too much time menuing, because you could run into having that Star Veil expire on you. But unfortunately, that Mega Nuke only did 2K back to Bahamut, so they're still in for a fight here.
It's tough because I don't think Saradin's found any Star Veils for sale in shops, so is just relying on the couple of Star Veils that you get from your starter kit, and that's it. So these have got to last the entire fight.
Yeah, and as we've seen, there is a lunar sparkle, back in Baron Castle.
Yeah.
That very much could be a very rude wyvern waiting there.
I've oftentimes found myself in a situation where I've run out of those couple of starter kit star veils, and then I'm like, before I fight more bosses, I've got to shop. I got to have those star veils, because if I run into something like a wyvern, like a Bahamut, in a place where I'm not going to be able to knock it down before its countdown goes off, I need those star veils in order to do it. That's the way that I know to get through it. So that might be a little bit of a detour for Saradin, but here is able to get through the fight right now, and is rewarded with the Legend Sword. So part of objective number 2 there found. If we're able to find the adamant, that puts Saradin in a good spot here. Although I will say, actual JP is pretty close behind, just picking up that same Excalibur that Saradin picked up in the tower.
Yeah, I don't know that, this is a great race. I don't know that either runner really has the advantage. I mean, like you pointed out earlier, Saradin has to know that Fabul Gauntlet is there at any point. As long as they don't go out of their, routing way, like as long as they're still in the overworld, they're not underground hoping to complete their last objective, which they wouldn't really be able to with trading away the key items or doing Cave Magnus. Really both runners are playing, I think, pretty well. Both have tried to run into that valve. Both have tried to do that. Saradin maybe a little bit further ahead just because they've gotten through their top of tower, and actual JP, is just now getting up to that Bahamut, but this is a pretty close race.
I agree. I think it also looks like Saradin might be a little bit ahead because of that, because actual JP spent a little bit more time setting up, but when he's able to make up a lot of that fight by being a bit higher leveled for the fights that Saradin did. So I think that's a lot of what makes it so close as well. And it does make it a really exciting fight. Right now, we're in some pretty tough spots left. We've got that nasty Valvulus that both of our runners have had a tough time with so far. We've got Painman and Galvez down in the Feymarch. Galvez, another one of those fights where you probably want to have some star veils in your inventory for. And then, other than that, we've face checked those early boss spots. At least actual JP has. No Mist Dragon to be found there. There is that really cheeky possibility of D-Mist being in the first fight in the Tower of Zot, that Mega Sister spot. That would be rude. Or behind the package, that would also be rude.
Yeah, that first location of Zot is one that I forget about. You can go to Zot without the Earth Crystal. You can't complete it, but you can absolutely go to that first spot. Knock on wood, it has not been an issue for me yet, but I'm sure the next seed I roll, it will happen.
It's like Saradin is now doing something that actual JP had actually completed earlier, which is the Sylph Cave little route. This is what gave actual JP that package.
Right. I was trying to recall. I remembered Fabul giving package. I just couldn't remember if it was Shield or if it was from the Fabul defense itself.
Yeah, the Fabul fence itself was the Bahamut summon. So both very good things. Well, the package less so, but the Bahamut being very important for our runners' firepower tonight.
Yeah, but it's looking, it's looking more like, unless we have that D-Mist hiding in Mist or in, behind the package or Zot, looks like that Val is going to be required. Our runners are going to have to find some way to push through that.
I think if they're able to find some more star veils, they could go and try that Bahamut fight as well. It wouldn't be easy. If they had a white mage, it would be a little bit easier, because then you could have access to the size spell. Maybe getting the Tella might be a way to help you complete that Galvez fight. Having access to Mini would be a lot easier than trying to rely on getting through with just Pig.
Well, Saradin hunting, I think, for star veils and has found them in the Troya shop. So, they may very well go and take on that Golbez now at this point. If you can get your party set up right, you can essentially make that fight free. You're still going to have to hit Golbez to actually get the win script, unless you do a heck of a lot of damage to him. But that's certainly an option.
That'd just be a relief to find,
Yeah, absolutely. It just takes the relief. Yeah, just knowing that if you run into a wyvern, it's not the end of the world.
Oh, looks like that X-Scal has been just what the doctor ordered for actual JP, as he's finally able to hit Valveless and knock her down. As we see the second fight here, Leviathan should be a lot easier to deal with than that Valveless force. Yeah,
it's pretty funny how that first spot with Valveless, ends up just being so much tougher than, a lot of times the second spot can be.
Looks like Saradin wants to go and complete this alt gauntlet fight, get that objective out of the way right now too. I can totally understand that. Well, then again, he might be faking me out, or just going to the other side. So I'm just getting bounced back and forth as to whether or not I'm right or wrong. But getting that off out of the back of the mind, like in some respects, it might be better to leave it to the end for timing purposes, like for your own mind and keeping track of what you need to do. Making sure you don't forget about it is also important, and taking care of that now might be the best way to deal with it.
Oh, totally agree. I mean, you can think in your head, and I do want to note that while actual JP picked up that cane, they got a power shirt for their trouble.
Yeah.
So they're going to the Feymarch now. But to circle back to your point, yeah, you can think, I won't forget this spot, but you get 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour into a seed, it's very easy to forget what seems obvious, and then you're kind of scrambling, thinking, wow, where is this last objective?
Ain't that the truth? But yeah, so these fights down at the bottom of Feymarch, they're no joke, and it looks like that's what JP is gonna be dealing with right now. I can't imagine that he's going to be taking on the Dark Knight Cecil. The Dark Knight Cecil Leviathan is, I think, brutally scary. The other one, the Golbez, if you've got the setup for it, it definitely can be done, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be easy.
It's going to be a lot easier than DKC. I mean, I think that DKC, that spot, I think pushes out about 1,200 maybe or so a wave, if I'm remembering correctly.
It's in the right ballpark. And it's also very fast.
Also very fast, yeah, and you don't really have a good anchor. That Eddie, while base level, I think is at agility, 8 or 9, perhaps, I want to say.
Here come the pigs. Now, the reason that you're seeing actual JP use Piggy here is the way that status effects work in Final Fantasy IV. There's like a hierarchy of status effects that if you've got a status afflicted that's higher on the hierarchy than the one that's being inflicted on you, in this case, the stop that happens at the beginning, or the hold that happens at the beginning of the Golbez fight, then it just doesn't happen. So these pigs are not going to be frozen in time at the beginning of the fight. You still can't do anything to Golbez until after he offs most of your party. But it does give you time after that to really set up those star veils and get the protection up before Golbez starts casting his spells.
And most importantly, you can get them off before the Shadow Dragon goes away. So, of course, it still comes down to who does Golbez take out. But like right before the Shadow Dragon goes away, you're going to get your turns. You can get your Star Veils up like right now, and then you're not out of the clear, but you're in a much better position.
I don't know if actual JP has any Star Veils though, because he used them at the same time that Saradin did at that Bahamut fight, and he doesn't have any more in reserve.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I think the magic here, I want to say, is going to be a little bit higher because that Ashura spot is not magic based. So I think this is probably going to be a little scary for actual JP. And yeah, taking a 2500 virus, I think, was understating the magic power of that spot.
I agree, and I think it's going to be time for JP to go shopping. Oh, or maybe not, going back down there. Maybe wants to take a look and see just how bad those dark waves are from Dark Knight Cecil. Like, know exactly what you've got going up against. And I think that makes sense too.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the speed, yeah, see about 1200, and yeah, that Dark Knight Cecil already had that second Dark Wave queued up. Unfortunate. Chad pointing out if you can somehow get a turn off with Eddie and have him hide, that's one way to get through it, but you have to have the right agility anchoring to pull that off. And unfortunately, our runners just don't have that available at their disposal right now.
Yeah, I don't think actual JP's been leveling up Edward at all. Just been relying, wanting him to be the agility anchor. And if you want him to be fast enough to hide in that spot, then you're going to have someone else be the anchor so that he can be a good relative agility in order to get that pulled off.
Yeah, or maybe you go hunting for a cursed ring somewhere, but that just seems like you're going to be spending a lot of time going around in shops looking for something that just may not exist.
That little soiree against Galvez might have given the lead over to Saradin because of that, not having those Star Veils. Has to go shopping for him now. And Saradin able to complete that fight against the Alt Gauntlet, catch up in the objectives, and now it's heading back down to the Fey March, and Saradin has a full stock of Star Veils.
Yeah, I agree. Now they're in a much better position to get through this Golbez fight. And you gotta hope for their, for Saradin's sake, and certainly for actual JP's sake, that this is a required Golbez, and that
yes.
Not thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to have to go to package, or possibly Zod, if you can remember Zod.
You see just how fast that first Dark Knight gets off that wave, not even letting one of the characters have a turn. So probably going to go on to the Galvez fight instead with those Star Veils. That's something that that runners can use to their advantage, and they don't always do, is lowering that battle speed. Gives you a little bit more time to input things when necessary. I'm not sure if it's going to help against this Cecil, but it's one of those things that's available to our runners that isn't used as often as I think it should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth trying. You can't fault them for doing it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not a huge time loss, but you kind of feel maybe a little bit of the I don't want to say desperation, but you're just kind of thinking, geez, what can I do to get through one of these bosses at this point? You really don't want to have a required Fey March boss at these levels with these two spots.
Turns out that the Dark Knight Cecil is the one that's required in order to progress at this point. Then, they've got to be very thankful that they've got the sirens available for sale. You see, it looks like some of the switching up the party order on Saradin has given him a little bit of an advantage in that. Still not able to get the hide off right away, but it's a lot closer now than it was a couple of tries before.
Yeah, but now that advantage Saradin has is gone because actual
Yeah,
JP is going up against that Galbez, and now has those Star Veils are going to be able to pop, and probably get through this.
yeah, it's really interesting, and it just shows exactly how close this race is. Those little things, the going down to the Fey March without the Star Veils, let Saradin catch up, and then Saradin trying to manipulate everything, but not able to find exactly what he needs. And now we see they're both piggied up in this fight. They've got the Star Veils. It is so close right now.
Oh, this is great. This is this is just so fantastic to watch. Just to see them just so neck and neck, and you gotta wonder if one thinks the other is far ahead of them, or if they think they're on the same track. If I'm one of the runners, I'm just thinking, man, the other racer must have figured out some way to get through it that I didn't. But in this case, it's they just both happen to be in the same place at the same time.
It's really interesting. And it looks like actual JP didn't like something, wants to do a little bit more grinding before completing this. So that's going to give an opportunity for Saradin. If this ends up being the big thing, he's going to be in a really good position if he can get these Star Veils up, get his characters going. And it looks like Cecil's one of the characters who survived with that Excalibur is going to be able to supplement the reflected magic with a decent amount of damage from that Excalibur Cecil, because pigs can attack just fine.
Yeah. Pigs can't cast spells, but pigs can still hit all the same, and pigs hit for the same amount of damage. It's just going to be. I'm going to answer my own question. Are they going to have enough damage to take down this Golbez? And the answer is a resounding yes with the 4,200 Excal swing.
Yeah, those holy swords do a number on Golbez for sure, and so this is really good for Saradin here. Unless it's the Cecil, in which case this grinding is probably going to help actual JP a lot.
Yeah, but Saradin, I feel will have to do their grind eventually anyway.
That's true.
I'm not sure why actual JP reset out, if they didn't get their speed off right and just couldn't get their Star Veils off.
But that's the Darkness Crystal.
That's the Darkness Crystal. So I think we have an idea where we're going next.
You see Saradin getting out of there on the fly, does not want to take another peek at that Dark Knight Cecil, and probably won't unless everything else is exhausted.
Now, if you're Saradin, do you do some extra grinding here, or do you go down to the moon and kind of take your chances on what levels you have with the Excal Cecil, with the Bahamut Rydia? Like, do you think you have enough levels, HP, whatever, to maybe try to get some of those bosses down, or do you maybe just pop a few more sirens just to be on the safe side?
It's things where I think it's going to vary from runner to runner, their level of comfort with doing lunar strats. Some are going to be very confident. They've got Excalibur Cecil, they've got all that firepower that you said. Although we don't have a lot of defense, we don't have much healing at all, there's some things we're definitely lacking in this party. But if you're confident enough in your abilities, one thing I would do is definitely go to the moon and check the character. Because if that character ends up being like a Fusia or a Porum or a Rosa that you know that you're going to want in the party, then that's great. And then at that point, you can think, do I want to grind before I check any of the bosses? And I'll check my items. Do I have mute bells? Then I might want to do some more locks. Do I have hourglasses? Then I might want to do some gold dragons. If I don't have anything else, I might go back and do some eggs. But at any rate, that's what I do first, is check the character.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of a comfort thing. Now the unfortunate part is we've seen all the free bosses, I think, except for King, Queen, and Evelyn. So whatever bosses are going to be left on the moon, are likely going to be pretty scary.
We've got a couple other free ones. I don't think we've seen Water Hag yet, and I don't think we've seen Dark Imps yet.
I thought we saw a water hag. I could be wrong. I thought I remember seeing water hag earlier. You know, yeah, water hag.
Oh, missed game. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad. I missed that one. That was not a pun.
Well, unintentional puns are sometimes the best ones.
I guess so. Saradin now on the moon. We're going to see this character. Is it going to be another Edward, or is it going to be someone who's actually interesting? Sorry, Edward fans.
Well, a Kane, interesting, but a little late in this seed to take. I am surprised they reset out of it. I'm not sure where they're thinking on going next instead. Then.
Yeah, I'm not sure on this either, but this might be another play. This going to be, I don't know if Saradin has face checked the bosses. I'm going back underground. Is this going to be another play to the Dark Knight Cecil?
Yeah, well, they're going to be doing some extra.
Just the grind.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I mean, you look at that Kane under 500 HP. Yeah, it's probably the right play to make. You run into something like a Baigan at the Mura spot. You're not clearing that with this party. Like it's just not going to happen.
No, I could totally support this, and I think this was kind of plays into what I was mentioning. You take a look at the character, and if it's somebody that you want to get them in their party before you do any sort of grind. So that makes sense. Now, the reset makes a lot more sense knowing where we're going now.
Actual JP trying again against that DKC. Thought they might have had the speed, to get through that. Almost got that Cure 3 off with that Cecil, but just that DKC's just a little too fast. Like I said, even with that Eddie base level, he just doesn't provide a good enough anchor unless you find a curse ring for him.
Well, I think it's less the low agility of Edward, but more the high agility of that Leviathan spot that's really doing him in. Trying to get multiple, like being able to get that Cure 3 queued and resolved before 2 actions of the boss there is going to be tough no matter what the agility situation is going to be. I think this is one where the lower battle speed may help more.
Your question in chat, yes. San Ruby was Cecil, package is Tella. Now, nobody bothered to follow through with that Tella, so we could still have a Miss Dragon, in the Kaipo, coming in the night of Kaipo. So that's still an option.
Okay, JP going to take another swing at this Dark Knight. Waiting until it's the.
Might get through this.
Tier 3 off.
They might get through this.
This is where it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the unfortunate part was they had Kane's turn queued up, and then unfortunately just took too much time to get back around to Cecil for him to get his Cure 3 off. Maybe was feeling a little bit greedy, wanting to get XP for both Cecil and Kane. I think you just find any way to survive. If it just means one character survives, so be it. Just get through it and see what you get out of it.
Yeah, I think it might have worked, and I'm not sure exactly if he parried with Kane and Palom there, then might have been able to get back to Cecil's turn. It still would have been close, though. I don't know if it would have been I don't know if it would have been fast enough.
Yeah, I think he parried too quickly or parried too late with the cane, I think was the issue.
Another thing that it might be is one of those situations where you just don't want to deal with any other character. Just have everybody else be at 1 HP going in. Let them all die to the first wave. And then the only character that you have to deal with queuing up is Cecil, and have him ready to cast, to use those Cure 3s after each wave as well. That might help. It still might not be fast enough, but I think that's going to be the fastest way that JP could deal with that at this point.
I mean, you know, if I'm either runner, I'm doing my grind, and well, I say either runner. You know, Saradin's really the only one that's gotten through that Golbez. Actual JP doesn't know what next key item. You know, he doesn't know that you're getting a darkness from Golbez. For all he knows, progression is behind DKC, which it still very well could be, but they're committing a lot to try to get through this, and you know, you hope it pays off for them, because now Saradin's off to the moon, and you have to imagine there's going to be, you know, quite a bit of key items here. I mean, it has to be, I would say, a given at this point.
I mean, there's still a lot on the blue planet that we haven't seen, because we haven't seen a lot of the, like, sort of more, what do you say, rabbit hole items. Like, we haven't seen the Luca key yet, we haven't seen the Twin Harp yet, we haven't seen Earth Crystal, we haven't seen Baron key, we haven't seen Tower key, and all of them could have potential key items behind them, as well as the Rat Tail that they already have, since we don't have the hook. So
yeah, a good point.
A lot could be on the blue planet. There's still a possibility that the moon could be, well, maybe not completely haunted, but almost haunted, and have nothing there that they need. But I think it's probably more likely that there's, you know, some on each.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the hope, you know, for the community and for, you know, us commentators is that there's, you know, we have divergence and key items are available on both, and we make this, you know, a good race. I mean, it's still a good race, don't get me wrong. I just think it would be fun to have some kind of progression behind DKC while Saradin, you know, dives this moon. It'd just be interesting to see which one would pay off.
We got a couple more levels on Cecil now for this Dark Knight fight. We're going to see how well things go this time. Get that first Cure 3 queued up. This one should be fine. That one, did he attack Cecil, Dark Knight Cecil? That would be...
Yeah, he did. Oh, good thing that Kane went down. So as long as this one goes, just got through it.
Oh, he did it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them in the moment. You know, you kind of have a panic moment, and you're just like, I just want to get Kane's turn done with. So you just do the quickest you can. Gets rewarded with the hook.
The hook.
Yeah, that's a Rat Tail turn in. You know, that's, you know, I don't know if you go down Evelyn maybe and check that character too. Maybe hope for a last dive Fu.
Well, it also unlocks the possibility, if that pink tail is found, to turn in that. So that's a really good item to find, even if it might not lead to anything right now. It's still a very good thing to have in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it still means that you're going to have to do that, you know, Golbez fight, but, you know, you're absolutely right. Yeah, if it ends up being required, then, I mean, Saradin's going to have to come back down here at some point.
Well, it also depends on what that Rat Tail gives you. Because if the Rat Tail gives you, say, the Twin Harp, the Twin Harp gives you the Adamant, then you don't need anything else. You don't have to go to the moon. So there's a potential here that actual JP wouldn't have to leave the blue planet.
Speaking of Wyvern, there's our Wyvern in the Ribbon Room. gonna manage to get 2 Star Veils off, maybe pop a third now, but did get the 2 off. So, now do they have enough damage to, push through the rest of Wyvern's HP before, those reflected nukes start going off?
This is not an easy fight here. There's a lot of HP at this spot in the ribbon room. One thing that Saradin could do, I'm not sure if he is comfortable using these strats, but one thing you can do is use a summon against Wyvern. That'll make a counter Mega Nuke happen, and you can use those walls that are up on your characters again to do just that much more damage. And yeah, the Bahamut's coming out. I love the strategy.
No, it's not a bad strat. Yeah, absolutely. You still have your Star Veils up on your Cecil and Kane. Yeah.
Well, it looks like the magical evasion is high enough on Palom. Just absolutely missed that Mega Nuke. That you love to see it.
Yeah, little bit of a scary situation now. You hope that if he gets that nuke off, it's going to hit that Cecil. But if it hits that Palom, yeah, we're in bad shape. Luckily, seems to have the jump on Wyvern as far as the speed go. So I think they're going to get through it. I think they're going to have enough turns off to get people revived. They are running low on life pots, though. That's one thing that I got to keep an eye on. I'm not sure if they bought life pots anywhere else.
That's kind of the limiting factor on the strategy that we're rolling with right now. You also need to make sure that you can deal enough damage to get this done throughout. And there we go, Wyvern down. Well played, Saradin.
Yeah, GG's to them. They get through it. They get a nice, cool 100,000 XP for that. Pick up Twin Harp and pick up Luca. So, Moon not haunted.
Twin Harp, very nice pickup. Can be used to complete objective number 1. So, yeah, that's the sort of thing that Saradin is looking to find on this trip to the moon here.
Now, if you're Saradin, one option could be to leave a save here, exit out, and chase that music and maybe see if that's your, kind of lead to your go mode. Or, what I would do is, I'm here, let me just at least check the other bosses and see if there's something I can do. Meanwhile, actual JP does get through that Golbez fight, gets rewarded with their Darkness Crystal. Have to imagine they're going to be on their way to the moon now, too.
And now Saradin going to the vanilla Masamune altar finds those dark imps. So let's see if we've got another hourglass in our inventory. Going to go straight for the coffin to off one of them right away. Not a bad move. Ooh, but unfortunately Cecil pays the price with his life. That is not going to be good, and there's a reset. Those dark imps hit really hard at that spot. If you could get something like an hourglass off on him right away, then that's great. Otherwise, if you can't deal with them really quickly, they hit hard and fast.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you I've fallen victim to that. I mean, you see Dark Imps and you think, oh, this is a free fight, so maybe you lag on your inputs a little bit, because you maybe think a little bit about like, well, how do I want to take them out? Oh, I have so many ways. And then in the meantime, they start punching, and then you say, this did not go the way I expected, hitting for 15 to 2,100 apiece. Actual JP looks like they're going to be turning in that rat tail, so I'm very interested to see what that is going to give.
Yeah, depending on what this is, this could be huge. If this is something that leads to an objective, that's one huge advantage that JP would have that Saradin doesn't have. Since actual JP has that Darkness Crystal in his possession now, he will have access to that Twin Harp behind the Wyvern that we saw Saradin pick up already. But no, it's just an Excalibur. So unfortunately, at this point, unless that pink tail comes into play, but it does.
Speaking of Pinktail, yeah, that's very unfortunate for actual JP.
I think it's unfortunate for Saradin. Saradin's the one that doesn't have the hook.
That's a good point. You know what? That's right. That's right. I forgot they don't actually have the hook. They have music, but no hook.
At this point, I don't think Saradin has a whole lot of incentive to go back and fight that Dark Knight Cecil.
To say, right, we got that hook from that DKC. Yeah, if I'm Saradin, I'm staying away from that DKC. And then, now you make an excellent point that could turn the tide for actual JP.
So that is really interesting. So the end of this race is going to be really exciting because we've also got that adamant still floating around. Because if Saradin is able to find that adamant, then Saradin's in great shape. If not, I think JP is in a better situation right now. It is really close, really interesting, and I can't wait to see how this one ends.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in my head, where. I mean, we went from having, nothing to check to now we have so much to check and so much to think about what's behind where, between music, between Sealed Cave, between this, this Crystal Sword altar check. This has really just been an amazing race to watch and to do comms on.
So now actual JP making his first trip to the moon, going to be greeted by Kane. At this point, I think both of our runners are pretty satisfied with the party that they've got. I can't imagine a switch being made, although, I've seen weirder things in races.
Yeah, and we still don't have real dedicated healing unless we saw Cure 3s for sale somewhere. I'm not sure if we did.
I've seen the runners have a couple of them. I'm not sure if they were found in a shop and they just could afford a couple when they did, or if there was just a couple of them found in chests early in the game. It could be either way. I just don't know.
Yeah, I this would absolutely terrify me, because your levels are high, but you're just thinking, how in the world am I going to get through Z with this party? Saradin does pick up that pan, so they got quite a bit of value out of that LST. Wonder if they will go to cave value to check that. It couldn't hurt, unless there was one other check that they reset out of, maybe the Mura altar they're going back to.
Yeah, it's the Murasame altar still needs to be done. That's the only one that they haven't checked yet. But yeah, this has been a pretty fruitful check to there. Oh, there was also the White Spear altar. I might have missed what came out of that. That was the Ogo Pogo fight. I don't remember if Saradin was able to beat that one.
He reset out of that one. He reset out of that one and then went to Ribbon Room. I don't know that actually he finished that Ogo Pogo fight either. So yeah, I think we still have 2 checks here in the LST that we have to complete. And actual JP now, is kind of hot on his heels.
And another lunar boss in a lunar spot. This is Plague here in the vanilla Murasame spot. This is one where having that Edward start the fight knocked out can be useful depending on what strategy you're going to use in order to take out this Plague here. Because you can always revive a character who's knocked out to have Plague reset the death counter. Well, that Quake is not as effective on Plague. Plague is considered a flying enemy, so is immune to Quake, but takes double damage to bows and arrows and spears.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have any problem getting through this. That count is moving down slow enough that, they can off a character as soon as the count goes back up, and then just revive them. You know, so I think they're going to get through this no problem. And yep, sure enough, there goes the count, back up, just right at 0. Now you can kind of pick, who it is you want to take down, and then just revive them. You want to do it. You want to do it soon. You don't want to wait, but you can just rinse and repeat. You see actual JP going the bottom down approach, that a lot of runners like to take, which is the statistical, better check, going to that ribbon room first, and they'll be taking on that wyvern. Immediately kind of having I want to say a panic moment, but saying, I need to try to get this run buffer off, which unfortunately doesn't work, unless you get your turn up. And there's an adamant for Saradin. And a spot.
Well, that's going to be really tough for JP there, because now that hook isn't required. We don't need to turn in the pink tail. Saradin can now create the Excalibur to complete objective number 2, and use that twin harp to complete objective number 1. And in this flag set, we only need to complete 4 out of the 5 objectives, so that will reward Saradin with the crystal. We'll then head back to the moon to fight Zeramis. There's also grinding, and something that you've been mentioning a number of times throughout this race here, Lady Id, is the lack of a healer. What are you going to do to get through the big bangs of Zeramis? And that's going to be like, do you go and check? Well, Saradin can't check the character in Cave Evelyn, so there's not a whole lot of places to go to with that. That's going to be the other mystery that's going to have to be solved.
If it's me, I'm I'm panicking. If it's me, I'm just thinking, what am I going to do? I guess my first thought is, I have Iridia. I'm just going to try to look for either Cure 3 somewhere or an Ashura. I mean, that's your only hope. I mean, like you said, Rex, he doesn't have access to the hook, and he doesn't know where that hook is at the moment. It could be hidden anywhere for him. He has no idea it's behind DKC. It could be behind Sealed Cave. It could be behind Music. Could be behind Miss Dragon somewhere. So kind of a scary moment. Exciting, for us as commentators. Exciting for, the community. But it's going to be very interesting to see how these runners are going to adapt to get through the Z fight.
I definitely saw Ashura for sale in an item shop somewhere. I don't remember which one, and I don't remember which runner saw it, and I don't know if that was on their radar at the time. But that was definitely for sale in a shop.
I saw someone in chat mention it too. Yeah, someone mentioned it was Ashura.
Yeah, so that is one thing, but if you're relying on Rydia to be your healer, her HP pool is so low that oftentimes she's the one that needs to be healed the most, or you need to revive her before she can heal everybody else. That's not something that I like to rely on if I have to. Looks like actual JP is going to go over to Evelyn. We're going to get a character check and a shop check down here.
Yeah. We're also starting to see some of these, harp icons pop up. Not quite sure what's going on with that. We're going to a crystal room. I don't know what the big deal is here. Maybe you can explain what this is about.
Edward there, it might look like he is taking a nap on the floor. Really what he's doing is practicing for his big performance here. We're going to get a random music from the harp, and we are going to be quiet while we listen to a little bit of DJ Spoony B's rockin' tunes.
That was Otherworld, I believe, from Final Fantasy X, against the freest of free bosses in that spot. Um, with that, completes their objective number one, gets rewarded with the pass. Uh, Meanwhile, actual GP goes and picks up that edge. Did they pick up that edge? I didn't see if they actually picked them up and discarded. Yeah, so they got rid of. I'm not sure who they got rid of. I'm not sure if you saw, Rex.
Rid of Kane, still going with Rydia, Palom, using Edward as the anchor, and of course Excalibur Cecil. But finding those really good ninja swords, like early and often, it seems like, yeah, I want Edge here. Like he's going to be strong. Oh, only one left. Might have sold some of them, or maybe didn't find as many as Saradin did. But still, having that Masamune as one of your weapons is pretty good offensive force.
Yeah, my only issue is that Edge has a low HP pool.
That is true.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're talking about taking an unnerfed Big Bang, I trust Kane to take one more than I would trust Edge. I don't necessarily fault them. Like you said, you have that Masamune. It's very tempting to take that, but this just gives me more anxiety about how am I surviving my Z fight.
In general, I'd probably agree with you. But if this is a situation where you're going to be planning on grinding your Palom and your Rydia up to the point where they learn Nuke, which I think is a viable option given the party that we have, then the amount of HP that either Kane or Edge is going to get is going to be high enough, because it just takes a long time to level up those characters that much.
Yeah, see, and the thing is, Saradin has over 10 key items. They'll get that XP boost, from whatever their grind is. At the moment, actual JP, does not. So, but Saradin does turn in that, forge that Excal, gets their crystal. Now they're ready for Z. If they want to go right to Z, they can.
Looks like JP ended up resetting out of that Edge choice to go back to the moon right away. So back to that Kane in the party at this point. So knows where Edge is if he decides he wants him. But at this point, going to be rolling with Kane, it looks like.
Yeah, I was confused at first seeing him back on the LST. Maybe wants to just check the rest of the spots here just to make sure he didn't miss anything.
So now the question is, what is Saradin going to do? Are we just going to grind and go to Z at this point, or is there something else we want to get beforehand?
I sure hope you're not asking me, because I have no answer as to. I mean, other than they're doing their grind, but after that, maybe it's enough to. If you get that Cecil, you get that Kane up high enough, maybe you can get some nerf Big Bangs. But, I got to think they're going to go shopping for some kind of curative items or Ashura or something. They have to, you also have, I think I did see vampires, in shops somewhere. I mean, I guess that's always an option too.
I mean, vampires are an option, I guess, but you've got Excalibur Cecil. That's just so much faster than vampire strats. I think power overwhelming might just be the way to do it. You get enough levels and you can do almost anything.
Yeah, plus it feels like it feels like almost like a slap in the face to say, here, I have this Excal Cecil with over 3,200 HP. Oh, I'm going to do vampire strats instead. To answer chat, I'm not sure if we found Bacchus wines. I know we found Soak Webs, we found Star Veils. The cheeky thing to do is to pick up that edge and then go steal Bacchus wines, right outside of Kokol. That's always an option.
Well, not for Saradin. There's no hook, so Saradin cannot go check the go steal those. So no cheeky edge for Saradin right now, unless he goes and fights that Dark Knight Cecil, which I don't think is on his radar.
Well, he's going to Feymarch. Yeah.
He's going to Feymarch, but I think he's going to the Feymarch to buy more sirens.
I would agree. Yeah, I can't imagine DKC is anywhere near on his radar.
No. Though, like I've said, I've seen weirder things in Free Enterprise.
This is true. This is true. Every time you think you've seen it all, and I have not been around the community enough to have seen it all. So, we could see something surprising, but no, it looks like they are going to be buying those sirens. Selling an ex-Cal, you don't have a second Cecil. While that hurts, that is a lot of money to fund your siren purchases. Actual JP going after that plague spot also doesn't look like they're going to have any trouble getting through this. Although I say that, and that count really went down pretty quickly. So, I'm not sure what that was about. If they're, with that Eddie being the way he is anchored, if that's just making this count go down a lot quicker. I'm not sure.
It could have something to do with it. It looks like what actual JP is trying to set up is getting that count reflected on the plague, and there we have it. That's kind of the cheekiest way of all to go about this fight.
Yeah, I guess as Chad is pointing out, if you run buffer at this spot, you're not getting yourself any turns, and you're just accelerating the count. So I think that's what explains it.
That could have something to do with it as well, yes. Saradin did buy 10 more sirens, so going for a bunch more levels here, and I think that's going to be really helpful. I think in this case, what you might be trying to set up to do is get both. Well, Saradin might be done now.
They head right to Z with what they have, and then just try power overwhelming and just see. I don't know if they have any Bacchus wines to get through it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen a full inventory. I don't remember seeing it in a shop, but as far as like a random chest that might have had it, that could have happened as well.
Well, they're going to be going in to their Z fight, so I'm going to be very interested and very excited to see how this is going to go. And speaking of Z, we're starting to see some of these Z flags pop up. I think is that what they are? Z flags?
They are indeed Z flags.
Again, I guess it's just my ignorance tonight. I'm seeing all these different kind of icons between harps and Z flags, and I think you're going to have to explain this one to me too.
Well, luckily, I have been here in this community for quite a while, and so I know it means it's time to ask the question, whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Because it is now butt time.
That's right.
And if you're new to Free Enterprise, what we do is we give a random sprite to Zeramis just for cosmetic purposes. Zeramis is as mean and nasty as you remember him from the vanilla game.
Randomizing him with one of the other bosses would is even ruder than having Wyvern randomized. So no, Z stays right where he is. He is tough enough as it is. He does not need to go into the randomized pool.
Yeah, and this is the sort of party composition that can be a real challenge for a lot of runners. So this is going to be a really good test for Saradin. If he's able to beat this fight, he absolutely deserves to win this race. This is not an easy fight. It looks like we have Jafarmus.
So we see Saradin setting up that Star Veil and that Cane and going for reflect strats. I don't know if they have the speed to pull this off before Z gets his. Maybe they can get him down before the second Big Bang. That's certainly possible.
So there's a couple of options here. Saradin could use some math and continue to hit with Cecil until the point where it's not advisable to do more damage and then just finish off with Reflect. Or you could just go pure Reflect and not even do the math and just use Cecil and Cane as chemists to bounce everything. Looks like right now Cecil is being used for some offense. As long as you don't do it past a certain point, you can skip an HP refill and basically just keep it in this phase of the fight and avoid the medio phase at the end as well and get through the fight a bit quicker than if you refilled. I think not having access to Berserk, this is a very smart way. Saradin is playing this pretty well right now.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think given what they have, I think this is the smarter play. I think if you were to Zerk up, you would have just eaten Big Bangs and would have more than likely taken a wipe. I think the refill skip happens. I want to say 42,000. I could be wrong. I want to say it's around that range. Someone in chat, feel free, to correct me if I'm wrong.
Actually, count up to 40 if I'm doing it, and that's when I feel like doing math.
For me, that is never. I prefer power overwhelming. I prefer safe fights. We see that shake coming out. Could have, we could be seeing another Big Bang come out, or we could be getting close to the end of the fight.
Well, one thing with the HP totals that Cecil and Keen have, if another Big Bang comes, we should have enough time to do a little. Oh, there we go!
Oh,
there's the fade. We have done it. Saradin has won this fight. We'll get the official time in just a moment, but GG's to Saradin, going to 2-0 in the Lali-Ho League Swiss area. So very well done. That was a very clean Zeramis fight. Without any white mage, no Bacchus wines, nothing like that. Just well played, well executed, got the levels needed, able to get through that fight. Very well done.
Yes, and I think we are joined by Saradin now.
Hello.
Saradin, GG's on that. That was an amazing race you played. Especially coming down to that Z fight. I just first want to say, congratulations to that. Very well played.
Thanks. That was one of the better suits I've had of this.
Were you, was this kind of your plan all along to do these reflect strats? I kind of wonder, at what point did you commit to doing this? Rex and I were having, kind of a panic moment ourselves, wondering, how you're going to get through this. But, you seem to have committed to this from the start and seem to be pretty confident in your strategy.
Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure going in through about mid-game what I was going to do with it. I was really looking for a white mage. That's why I peeked up to the moon to see who was there. I was hoping for a Porum or a Rosa at least. to sort of define where I was going, or was looking for an edge possibly to go Berserk strats. Didn't find any of those, so just had to level what I had, and fortunately those Stardust rods turned up in Kakol's shop.
There was also a time... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say, there was also a time early in the game where you had basically cleared out pretty much everything that was available to you, except there were kind of three... I'll call them kind of problem bosses in that the Valvalus in the Baron Inn, and then the two bosses down in the Fame Arch. What were you thinking when you knew it was down to those three bosses?
So at that point, I gave the Dark Knight Cecil a try a couple of times. I was hoping to just get Edward to hide, but was not able to pull that one off. And then had the Star Veils, so decided to try Golbez, and him having the Darkness Crystal kind of opened things up pretty well from there.
Yeah, and then you found pretty much everything you needed to finish the steed right there on the moon, and then got lucky with that pass through the Twin Harp.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it makes you feel better, worse. That DKC had the hook.
Yeah, I saw that in the spoiler log.
And then Edge was the character there, you know. Right. So if there was a white mage available, unless you felt like taking that Tala, which I don't think you did.
I did no.
And I don't think you felt too compelled to go through Giant to take a chance at that, which I
didn't feel like
don't
that was
blame you on that.
More trying to search for Earth Crystal to see who was in Zot.
So this puts you at 2-0 now in the LaliHo League. A very nice start. It's got to feel great to be there. But you're going to be facing some real stiff competition in the latter part of the Swiss.
Very true.
So do you feel like the strategy that you did here, is this going to be, are you going to be doing more of this, or do you have some tricks up your sleeve? You don't need to share everything if you want to be a little secretive too.
I mean, you just kind of have to adapt to what the seed gives you. I usually like Berserk strats, but this one was kind of somewhere in the middle and ended up being Reflect, and it was the way to go. So just kind of have to see how it pans out.
Yeah, like I said, I would agree. I think you find in these seeds that, or this flag set, you have to adapt. And I think you proved very well how well you adapted. Many runners, including myself, would see the party composition you have and like you said, kind of have a kind of a panic moment. But, the fact that you were able to adjust and just go right into reflect strats and execute them flawlessly. I would say there's runners that probably would be, afraid to fight, to go against you. I don't know how I have too much more to add other than just to say, just a well-played race.
Thanks again.
And did you have any final thoughts about today's race or this event in general so far?
Nothing much about this race, but thanks to the admins and the volunteers for putting on the restreams and organizing the tournament in general. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting us watch your race tonight. And good luck with the rest of the event. And GG's again on your win tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, GG's.
All right, that was Saradin, the winner of today's race, and we're going to see JP is now going back into the Lunar Subterranean. He just got a couple more places to check. Just needs to find really either the Pink Tail or the Twin Harp. Both of them are available, as we know, in the Lunar Subterranean. Whichever one he finds first, will be able to he'll be able to finish up the run with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of, I'm going to say I forget at this point. I know Crystal Sword Altar had one of the objectives. Twin Harp was in, I think, Ribbon Room, right? So I think if they go there, then, they'll be in go mode, right?
Right. The Twin Harp was in the Ribbon Room, and I believe the Pink Tail was behind the Dark Imps. Either the Dark Imps or the Ogopogo fight. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it was behind the Dark Imps. That's right. At the
Ogopogo fight.
At the Ogopogo fight. Or
the Masamune altar.
The Masamune altar. Yeah. Yep.
So either one of those, and JP will be in shape to finish this. This was one of those where, as it turns out, so much of where the key items fell ended up benefiting Saradin, who prioritized defeating that Golbaz to get the Darkness Crystal. Actual JP, who prioritized defeating that Dark Knight Cecil and got the hook, had the key items fallen in a different way, it really could have benefited him. And that was the big difference in this race, really, which one of those bosses the runners prioritized.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see the divergence. It's not to take away anything from how actual JP has played. I mean, I think they've played, really maybe just as well. Just, kind of unfortunately for them, kind of spent, maybe a little too much time going after that DKC and just not really end up being the right, the right key item check to go for.
And while JP is fighting these Dark Imps, once again, I want to give a shout out to the other members of the restream team. We do have Moonblaze Wolf doing the restream itself, and we also have Zoom Waffle on the tracking. Big shout outs to both of them, because without them, we do not have a show. Also, big shout outs to Randomania hosting tonight's race. Been big partners with Free Enterprise for a long time. So everybody over at Randomania, big shout outs, as well as all the administrators making sure that this event is running smoothly. So big shout outs to everybody else who's helping out with this event.
Yeah, absolutely. As Zoom Waffle, accurately points out, unfortunately, fortunately they pick up the Pink Tail. That's going to be their objective 3. It's going to be their go mode. They're going to have to go back down to the lunar subterranean because they don't have the pass that Saradin picked up.
True. Depending on how JP wants to grind the rest of the grind, if he feels like he needs to, he might not need to at this point either. That's going to be. He might just decide to grind back here on the trip back to the moon as well.
Yeah, the hesitation there, going back to the save room, made me think, maybe he thought of doing the grind now, and then maybe realized, well, I have to come back down to the moon anyway. Let me turn in this Pink Tail. Let me see what I get from this. And then, just come back down. Maybe go buy some more sirens if they need some more. And then, yeah, like you said, then can come back down, grind some King Ryus and get a nice influx of, XP. I'm trying to do quick math. They do have 10 key items, right? Yeah, they have over 10 key items, so they will be getting that XP boost at least.
Yeah, it kind of depends on what grind JP wants to do, because could still easily do eggs while here on the blue planet as well. So it just depends on. It might depend on money too, how many sirens you can afford. Because if you've got less of a budget for sirens, then the King Ryu fight gets a lot better when you can get 180,000 experience for one siren.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just comes down to, do you have a way to either stop the King Ryus, or do you have somebody with weak to get them down? Because, even at a higher level, those King Ryus, if you let them they can quickly paralyze your party. They can do a lot of damage on you. So they can kind of be a scary grind option if you have no real way of kind of putting them to bed quickly.
That's a good point. They are, of the more common grinds that we see in free enterprise, they're the ones that if you don't have the tools for, that can go belly up probably the fastest. Eggs can be kind of dangerous too in a lot of ways if you can't one-shot them. Warlocks, if you're not able to stop them or mute them, their magic is really scary too. So a lot of the grinds are really about preparation and knowing what you need to do in order to handle them. There's that Ashura. It is in Toria, so JP not buying it. I don't know, maybe already has one, maybe not. Maybe they just don't care.
Yeah, they may not. Look, Saradin got through their Z fight just fine. Actual JP may end up just doing the same thing and being fine. I don't know where they stand. I have to imagine they have at least, 1 or 2 star veils. You see them kind of poking around. I wonder what they are looking for. If they are maybe looking for those Cure 3s maybe instead.
Cure 3s are my guess as to what JP is looking for, but not 100% sure here.
Yeah, if you didn't pick up that Ashura summon, which I don't necessarily blame them, that that 1/3 chance to have, or I guess you would say 2/3 chance to have a cure, high level cure spell go off, feels more like a 90% chance that a life 1 party wide spell is going to go off instead at the wrong time.
Yeah, when you need the life 1, it's always a cure. When you need the cure, it's always a life 1. That's the rule of Ashura.
Yes, which is why I don't like using Ashura, and I would certainly rather go for Cure 3s, although at a certain point, you got to start, you might have to just start thinking, look, that might be my only option. Otherwise, you're kind of spending a lot of time searching for something that just may not exist. Although they're taking that hovercraft now and going down to Evelyn. So, we'll see what they get there.
I remember, I bet JP checked the shop here the first time around, but I didn't see it. So it's going to be interesting to see what's available here. Maybe there's Bacchuses. Well, there's elixirs. That's a very expensive way to cure, but it's a very thorough cure job as well.
Yeah, if we didn't have the S-Quarter flag on, yeah, you probably could, buy enough of those, but with everything selling for a quarter of its normal value, unfortunately, the money you get from selling just isn't going to go far enough to buy the elixirs you need, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, it depends on how many you need. How many are you going to need throughout one Z fight? Because that's really the only fight that matters from here on out, right? Like, if you can get through, you've got the one elixir from your starter kit if you haven't used it yet. Actual JP has 60,000 JP right now. That could buy 2 more, and that's 3. That's might be a little close, and it looks like that's not enough. Like, JP doesn't want to take it from there. Like, that's not what he's looking for right now, but that would be one option. Depends on how dangerously you want to live.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get through that, reflex strat as quickly as, maybe Saradin did, that would be the way to go. I'm not sure where they stand, where they're going to stand as levels go by the time they're doing their grind. And you can kind of feel the hesitation on their part, just kind of wondering, like, what exactly, am I trying to accomplish right now? What do I want to do? What can I do?
Well, I guess we're going to get an answer to that pretty shortly. I can't imagine actual JP is coming back up to the moon if he's not ready to go to Zeramus. Because I imagine that if there was still shopping to do, you'd do that before heading back up here, whether or not you need to grind more or not.
Now, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if I saw a Star Veil in his inventory. Did you happen to see one? Quickly?
I believe he has 3 in his inventory right now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be cheering him on, through this. It's not. This is not an easy spot to be in. Saradin made that look easy, but this is a spot where you can kind of, you don't expect it, because you I think we've always found there's always some kind of white mage, even there's a Rosa, or as much as people don't like her, myself included, Porum, there, or a Fu. There's always somebody available that can act as your white mage. So the fact that they don't have anybody, can be a little disorienting. It's just not something that you necessarily prepare for because you don't see it really come up all that often.
Like JP is opting for the Warlock grind, has a few mute bells in inventory, and that is a decent way of handling this fight because they are not very scary when they're not casting their nasty spells.
Yeah, I know this is a popular one for runners. It's not one that I have attempted yet or done, so I'm not sure actually how much HP, or I'm sorry, XP, that they give for this fight.
Well, you're going to see Warlocks are a very efficient source of XP. If you do like the Warlock carry fight, the Warlocks give the bulk of the experience on this.
And actual JP does pull up that life glitch on them, so yeah, we're going to see exactly how much they're going to be pulling from this.
Yeah, that's 173,000 experience for one fight with 2 life glitches. So if you're able to do that consistently, that is a very efficient way of grinding.
Yeah, I can see that. You have the mute bell. That's certainly a lot less scary than doing the King Ryu fight, because even if you get that hourglass 2 off, those King Ryus are still going to get their queued actions off. Where I can see with the mute bell, the Warlocks are getting their actions off, but they're not able to cast their spells, so they're harmless.
It does require your characters to be at our relative agility 1. Having that base level Edward is going to be making sure that your character is. So the character that asked first, Rydia in this case, is at relative agility 1, able to get off that mute bell before the spells from the Warlocks get off. Now the trade-off is, if you saw on that last fight, the Quake from Palom took them all out. No opportunities for life glitches if you kill all the enemies at once.
Yeah, I did notice that, and then you're only getting 100,000 XP as opposed to that 170. So
yeah, but it is faster if you kill them all off at once too. So it's kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other in a lot of ways. But it's one of those things that you've got to evaluate. And I believe that's all the mute bells that actual JP has now. He might still have some sirens, so we might see some gold dragons still, but it's one of those things where it's like, if I've got the opportunity to do some of these Warlocks, they're really easy, really safe. Let's go ahead and knock those out right here while I'm on that floor.
Yeah, plus, if you do go after those gold dragons, to me, I might want to take a save first, just to be on the safe side, unless I know I can pop that Hourglass 2 off. I'd hate to do those Warlock grinds and then just, have that, Ryu fight go south. Although it doesn't look like, it looks like he thinks he's set on his levels now. But So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this Z fight goes.
Yeah, either that or just a safety save here, but okay, I see the battle speed being adjusted. That makes me think we're in for Z time.
Yeah, very, very interested to see, what they do for this one. Turning the battle speed down makes me think also reflex strats.
Yeah, whenever you're going for a reflex strategy, having more time to do those inputs, it's a lot better. If you're going berserk, you usually want the faster battle speeds. So your overall time just goes faster within the fight. But when you've got to do a lot of inputs, you want to make sure that you've got the time to get them in when you have to.
Yeah,
and that's where battle speed helps.
Yeah. You can pull off reflex strats, at battle speed 1, but not entirely advisable unless your levels are just so overwhelming that you can take high level big bangs.
But here we are on the bottom of the lunar core, and actual JP now going to be entering in the final fight against Zeramus, or Jafarmus, as we know what we're seeing here tonight.
Yes, I do happen to like that sprite. It's not one I have seen before, and I enjoy it.
I just like it when it's a character that I actually recognize. So that's always a plus for old Rex.
Yes, there are plenty of characters that I see. I say, wow, that sprite looks really cool and really, really well done. I have no idea who it is.
And here we go. The crystal is being thrown, and we are in the final fight. And here we go. I imagine we're going to see a pretty similar strategy to what we saw from Saradin for this fight.
Yeah, you're right. I think you can see a mix of Cecil and Kane getting their, swings in just to stay under that HP refill. And yeah, here we go. Yeah, Cecil's, getting his swing off. You got Rydia with the Star Veil. Kane getting his swing off. So yeah, they, with all luck, all things can, everything goes their way, they should have a similar fight, finish with this the way Saradin did. Now I'm not sure if they have that silk web queued up in time to nerf that big bang. Looks like they probably do. I wasn't sure if that came out maybe a little bit late.
I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, apparently, fine. I thought that Big Bang was imminent, and forgetting that we're in battle speed 5. Yeah, that makes a heck of a lot of difference.
Still not nerfed enough for Edward there, but
no, poor Eddie was not long. So we have about, what would you say, maybe about 25,000, on Z so far, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's around 30. But I wasn't doing perfect counting, but I think Something like that with the jump from Kane in there. This second Big Bang is going to be the scary one.
Yeah, we see that Silk Web going out to nerf that Big Bang, and if we can get a, well, if we can get a counter nuke on Cecil, then I think we're good. Then I think he's got this.
I think a counter nuke on Kane would be fine too. You just really don't want it to be Palom. Rydia would be great because it'll be reflected. Yeah, there we go. That as long as the timing is right, then this should be good. And I think JP is going to be in good shape. I think he's going to hold off on the melee fighting from here on out.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is tip that HP refill, and miss it, and then essentially, start the fight over again is essentially what you're doing.
Ooh, a little bit of a high roll, but still enough to keep 3 of the characters up. So I think we're still good. We see that another Star Veil coming up. The last thing that you want to have happen in a situation like this is the Star Veil to run out that wall. But there we are. There's the flash. Actual JP has done it and completed the fight and defeated Zeramus to finish in second place tonight. GG's. Another well-played Zeramus fight using a little bit of hybrid strats, but mostly reflect in this. Very well fought. It was a nail-biter, but got it done.
Yeah, I mean, actually, a nail-biter, but still made it look pretty easy, I would say, all things considered. Very well done. Very well done by them.
Yeah, the big difference is JP saw 2 Big Bangs where Saradin only did 1, but JP really got the timing right, able to nerf that second Big Bang to make sure his characters stay alive in order to finish off. Very well done.
And I think we actually are joined by actual JP. GG's.
GG.
How are you feeling at the end of this? I'm sure you look at the finish time. I kind of wonder, what your thoughts are after having just completed this. I guess I would say, beforehand, the Z fight was very well done. But yeah, just kind of curious on your overall thoughts.
Well, a couple of checks didn't really work out, like going to the tower, keyless. I don't know how many times I switched between the moon and Earth.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah,
sometimes.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, those are the breaks sometimes. I mean, it could have worked out, and this time it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, came down to the fact that, you had went after that DKC, whereas Saradin had went after that Golbez, and then unfortunately for you, the Golbez was the, held the right key item. Both of you played, extremely well. You had a pretty clean Z fight. I think there's something to be said about that. How exceptional that was going into that without a pure white mage at all. So I don't know that I'd let the finish time. Hopefully it doesn't discourage you. I hope you still come away with this feeling encouraged by your finish.
Well, I actually thought it was a great learning experience on how to get by without a white mage too, even though I was holding on to hope that I was going to get one at some point. That Tella for the package was tempting, but he wouldn't have lasted very long, so there was no point in going for that.
Yeah, agreed. Rex and I were talking about it, how both of you were going to handle that Z fight. Both of you handled it very well, and yeah, like you said, I think this is a great learning experience, and certainly a great learning experience for any runner, including myself, that relies on white mages to get through Z, and kind of says, well, if I don't have a white mage, what are my options? And I think, both of you proved it can be done, without a dedicated white mage.
Yeah, I was a little nervous without Cure 3s as well, but I decided just to slow the battle down to a pace where I thought it would be manageable, and then see where it takes me.
Yeah, Rex, you have any thoughts?
I think you hit on most of what I knew I wanted to ask about. So I'll just leave you with this, actual JP. Do you have any other thoughts on this race tonight that you wanted to talk about, or the event in general so far?
I like the event in general because I don't know, it's different from the last Zima Zone. And I don't know. Like I like it that the seeds actually can take a winding turn. Nothing really comes down to a D-machine grind anymore, which is kind of nice as well. Limits your options. I should say it gives you more options than just taking the path of least resistance. Yeah, all in all, it's pretty fun so far. The required music is fun, even though I didn't go for music at all. I later found out it was hidden behind Ogopogo, which I gave up on after not having any healing to deal with that.
Yeah, that's one of those fights without a white mage becomes really difficult. Like, oh wait, you do 50% of my damage on the first turn. That's kind of rough.
If I had one Bacchus wine, I might have tried to Cure 3 it, but it just wasn't. It would not have been enough.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us for this interview tonight. Thank you for letting us watch your race, and good luck in the rest of the event, actual JP.
Thank everyone for watching. Thank you guys for commenting. I'll be sure to watch it later and see where I can improve on further.
Geez, and good luck to you in your future races.
Same to all of you.
All right, that was actual JP, finished in second place tonight, but going to be a force to reckon with in the 1-1 bracket with the Swiss. We are about done with this broadcast tonight. We are going to send you on over to the Free Enterprise channel with more of the LaliHo League. The Gaming with a Wraith versus Planarian Knight is going on right there. I'll ask everybody, please, no spoilers about this race that you just watched, because people do like to watch these back if they weren't able to watch it live. So please, no spoilers about that. Once again, big shout outs to Moonblaze Wolf on the restream, Zoom Waffle on the tracking, my partner, Lady Id tonight, and I've been Rex Raoul, and I hope you all have a good evening.